Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and here I have the gingerbread fruit. It really does exist. And if there is a gingerbread fruit which grows on a gingerbread tree, then those dreams of a gingerbread house just became a lot more realistic. Yeah, the gingerbread or doom fruit grows on a palm. The Latin name is Hyphaene thebaica, and it's native to the Arabian Peninsula and northern and western Africa. What's up with my pronunciation? Thebaica, the Latin name, refers to the city of Thebes, a city in Egypt, an ancient city in Egypt. Very interesting fruit from a very interesting plant. Well, of course, the name gingerbread fruit is very interesting. I hope that it also really tastes like gingerbread. But let's talk about the plant first a little bit. So it grows on a palm. This is basically a date. Quite a big date. This palm grows in dry areas in northern Africa and Arabia. And it's an incredibly useful plant, which is also very popular in the culture of those areas, because it's so useful and tasty. What is it used for? Well, of course, since we are talking about hot and dry areas where not much stuff grows, shade is very important, so it's an important shade tree. The timber is used for everything you could use timber for, from beehives to rafts to firewood to building houses out of it. Yeah, real gingerbread houses. At least gingerbread wood houses. The leaves seem to be even more important. The leaves are also being used for everything you can use palm leaves for. They are being used to weave basically everything from baskets to house walls and roofs. You can also use the fibers to make cloth. Apparently the leaf stalks big and sturdy enough to make fences and similar stuff out of them. So yeah, very useful tree. And it also provides a nice edible fruit in an area where wild edible fruits are quite rare. This fruit can be used for basically a lot of things. In many countries, children and also adults eat it as a snack. They know it, which I'm gonna try in a moment. Also, it's being used for sweetmeats, candy, desserts. It's being made into a lot of different drinks, sometimes after being roasted. It's medicinal. Lots of uses. That's why this plant is also introduced to, for example, some areas in the Caribbean. Also, it's quite popular in India, so I guess somebody must have introduced it to India if it wasn't native there. Well, I found those fruit on a market, in a little Arabian shop in Kuala Lumpur, and bought them immediately. I bought two fruit, just two, because they were quite expensive. 30 ringgit a kilo, that's over €6 and like $7 a kilo in a country where food is usually quite cheap. For 30 ringgit, you can basically, if you don't eat much, you can eat for a week. If you eat like me, you can eat for a couple days, and that's the price for a kilo of this dried fruit. So I just bought two of them. Two very different fruit. This one was very light and rattling. I guess the seed was rattling. This one is much heavier and also rattling. Well, this one is not rattling so much anymore because I chopped it in half. I don't know if the fruit is supposed to be like this. Maybe this was not well developed. I tried a little bit of the dust that came out and it didn't taste like gingerbread or like anything sweet. It tasted like astringent sawdust. There are different uses for the fruit. You can either eat the fruit, or when it's unripe, you can eat the seed. Although this seed here looks quite underdeveloped. Maybe it was picked unripe. Also, you can germinate it and eat the seedling. Well, Let's try the rind first. That's the main thing that's being eaten in this fruit. No. It's worse than eating sawdust. It's like some astringent plant material. Okay, let's try the seed since we already have it here. Okay. It is incredibly tough. Well, plant seeds are being used for something called plant-based ivory. Basically, you take those hard palm seeds, not hollow thin ones like this, but nice plump ones, which are almost as hard as ivory, and you can make nice white jewelry out of them. But I guess, folks, this is either not well developed or picked underripe. But I have this other one, the heavy one. Since I don't want to try and chop it into 2 pieces in a video, it took me a machete and a minute or so to chop this one in half, because I didn't want to chop it with much force, so I will not do this on the video. I'll just start gnawing at it. Yeah. It's still astringent, but there is a taste of sweetness and of gingerbread. Oh. It's not so much like carob, it's more like cassia. Yeah, the taste is more like cassia, like licorice. Okay. No, this this hard, shiny brown skin doesn't seem to be very tasty. The tastier part seems to be this fibrous flesh. Oh my god, my poor teeth. It's really like eating wood. It's not too tasty, I guess. If you're grown up poor in an area where you cannot afford candy, or if you are used to the taste, you might like it. And people have been used to this taste for a very long time. I said it's very important in modern African and Arabian and even Indian cultures, but it was also important for ancient cultures. It was not only a nice food, but also a food with cultural significance. So it was used a lot as an offering in pharaohs' tombs. Actually, Pharaoh Tutankhamun, with the only crypt that was more or less undisturbed for over 3,000 years, he had dozens of baskets full of this stuff in his tomb. Dozens. This guy must have been chewing on this stuff all 3,000 years. Well, let's... Yeah, the inside is not that bad. It reminds me of some other... Well, it reminds me of a very bad quality Canarian date. It reminds me of cassia. Feels like eating a block of sawdust mixed with sand. Yeah, the rind is really without any taste and sweetness. It's this tough fibrous flesh here. And this one was clearly not well developed, because this has no trace of sweetness or gingerbread. Now, the gingerbread taste is quite mild. I guess chewing on a piece of ginger bark will be chewing on cinnamon bark will be 100 times stronger. Eating ginger would also be 100 times stronger. But imagine like very, very tough fibrous gingerbread with just a little bit of sugar and made from some crazy whole grain flour. It's all mixed in. I finally managed to chew off a piece. Before that I could just gnaw of sawdust. Now I actually took a little piece. And there is some hard structure coming there. Oh my poor teeth. Let's try a tip. Now it's gonna be easier. There you go. Now, the shiny rind. The shiny rind is really not interesting. This fibrous stuff, yes. I wouldn't necessarily say the good part, but the better part. Okay, folks, I hoped I would be able to get to the seed without using a knife. I'm sure I could do it if I gnawed at it for 10-15 more minutes. But that would make the video too long. So yeah. What shall I say about this gingerbread? When you buy the fruit, don't be stingy, don't buy the light fruits. They seem to be badly developed. Buy the heavy ones. Then maybe scrape off this shiny crust with a tool because it's not tasty, or maybe just hit it on a rock for a couple times. Then you can eat them sweetish, gingerbread flavored, very fibrous material underneath. And then in the middle you'll find a seed, which is definitely not supposed to look like this one. Yeah, well, if you are in some of those countries, if you visit one of those countries, if you go to an ethnic Arabian or Indian or African shop somewhere in the West, yeah, buy a couple fruit. Buy a couple of those dried fruit, which probably last for years. Well, in Tutankhamun's tomb they lasted for 3,000 years. Maybe use a tool to scrape off the skin and then to chop them into pieces. Be very careful not to chop your fingers. And then, yeah, try them and tell me what they taste like. Also tell me what significance they have in your culture if you're in one of the countries which like this thing. Apart from that, stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from, well, beautiful Kuala Lumpur, which I'll hopefully be able to visit soon again. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.